Political reacts. Okay, everyone, I want to get into this because this has been a hotbed story all over the social media, particularly politically, as you have this guy right here by the name of Nick Shirley. He's nothing but a right-wing, mega turncoat, right. He's all to the right. And they're trying to attack blue states, attack anything that they deem as liberal, that there's some fraud going on. Now, currently, there has been some fraud in Minnesota. We got to be honest about that within the Somali community, but it's not all people in the Somali community. But Donald Trump, as you know, he has demonized this community in so many ways that they would be scared to open their doors for anybody right now because they've had death threats put on them because of this idiot right here that you see on the screen, Donald Trump. And what I want to say is that this guy right here, Nick Shirley, has been going around knocking on doors. His whole approach is that he wants to, I got you, catch people in the act doing fraudulent. Now, when he comes to these particular facilities, he'll say, nobody's answering the door. Nobody's letting us in. It must be a fraudulent situation happening. And this is the thing you got to understand. If these people have been under threat because of Trump talking about them like a dog, right, creating fear for them in their community, then of course they're not going to open up the door for strangers. And particularly if they have kids in the building, they're not going to open up the door for someone that they don't know. And another thing, if it's in the Somali community, then a lot of the kids that go to these daycare centers are going to be Somali kids. Therefore, they know their community. They know who they're serving. They know who's going to knock at their door the most. And so Nick Shirley, in his so-called investigative reporting, has fell short because he did a few things, and I'm going to show you where he effed up. Right here, you had this place called Quality. Now, they say Quality Learning Center. 1-800 is a fraud. It's Quality Learning Center or Quality Center. And come to find out, this actually is a daycare. There's actually an owner of the building who has admitted that they do have daycare. They don't have a lot of kids there, okay? And that this is a legitimate business. And so this is why his reporting is suspect, to say the least, and what he's doing up there when he was in Minnesota, stirring up the pot. And what I'm finding out is this guy, Nick Shirley, has a history of going around stirring up the pot. I believe he is a provocateur, okay? There's a video I'm going to show you where you've got a guy out in Europe who's questioning him, interviews him, because he went over to the Ukraine and tried to say that there was no war in the Ukraine. This idiot right here that you see right over to the right of me has issues. He went into this community in Minnesota with the intent to try to find something, and you got news reporters, legitimate news outlets that are telling us that some of these particular health centers or daycare centers in Minnesota, some of them have already been closed down for quite some time. So some of these doors that he knocked on, they were already shut down. But he made the assumption on his videos that it's got to be fraud. And I'm not saying that there's no fraud not happening in Minnesota, right? But there's a lot of fraud that's happening in our federal government. You had Elon Musk with his Doge, who gutted the government, taking money. You have this man right here, sleepy, sick individual, Donald Trump, who's also stealing money. He's enriching himself, enriching his family. He's selling crypto coin and all type of garbage coming out of this administration with Donald Trump. And they're talking about the whatever fraud that they believe is happening in Minnesota when we got fraud happening by those that are running the government right now. And even before Trump, there have been some shady things going on, but nobody wants to deal with that. Now, let's play this video of Donald Trump talking about the Somali people, because I believe that this plays into why in some of these Somali-run businesses, some of them may not open the door when they see people that they don't know, because they know that people have been harassing them. When you've got guys like Donald Trump, right? Like this man right here, like Donald Trump. And when you have people like this clown, Nick Shirley. He's a clown. All right, straight up clown. So let me let you hear what Donald Trump had to say. And this is, I think, is the catalyst for all the problems that the Somali people are having. And this is really about the midterm elections too, everybody. This guy Shirley is nothing but a mega operative. Check this out.
I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that's. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country.
Right, and I don't want you in the country, Donald Trump. I think you stink. Your administration stinks. Carolina Levitt lies every day. Mike Miller is a racist, Nazi-like behavior. Rubio has no guts. You have Elon Musk, who's a Nazi himself, who did a Nazi salute. Your whole administration is full of white supremacists and people who are idiots. And the people that follow you have the brains of a bird, and even calling them that would be too much of a thing to even say.
I could say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries.
Right, but you're not talking about other countries, Donald Trump. You let people come over here from South Africa, the Afrikaans, who have had a racist history in South Africa against black South Africans, and the individuals in your administration are nothing but DEI people themselves. They're getting privileged. They are not qualified. And you are a buffoon because you saying what you said have stirred up this pot. It's one thing to crack down on people who are actually frauding the government in any state across this country, including Minnesota. And those Somali members of this community who are doing fraud, they should be handled. From what I understand, 50 or more people have been arrested, but you have demonized the whole community. And now you're wondering, where everyone's wondering, wow, this clown, Nick Shirley, goes to Minnesota, knocks on doors, and in some cases, nobody answered. They claim they couldn't see kids. Yeah, of course you couldn't see kids because the windows were covered. But they went there and they thought that these people would just open the door with open arms to them when they have been under fear of their life because they're getting death threats. They're getting people on the mega right that are picking with them. This is just the truth, y'all. Let me show you this first video from this clown, Nick Shirley, right here. I want to show you this first video because I'm going to bust him. On this first video, this is the video that went viral. I'm going to give you a clip here where he's knocking on one of the doors of one of his daycare. He's saying it's a fraud, but yet I got receipts because it's a real daycare. And the owner of the daycare was on news, and he was talking about how it was wrong what they did. And he has been getting people sending him threatening text messages, which is probably why they're not opening up the door for anybody. And you don't want anybody just going into doors of a daycare. So let me show you that this video is the video that did it. And this man has no credibility. This is Nick Shirley.
In fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059. In fiscal year 2024, $1,059,078.
So basically, they're breaking down. This guy with him claims that he's been researching this stuff in Minnesota. He's breaking down how much this particular daycare has been earning, okay? However, as I said before, this is a legitimate daycare. They just they weren't going to open a door for these raggly idiots right here. Let's continue.
Fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally one block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years. Let's see if there's any children. Let's see if any of the buildings are open. Here we go.
This is this to show you how idiotic Nick Shirley is. I said it again, Nick Shirley is a troublemaker. He went to the Ukraine and caused problem there, and he was called out. For the people out there, called him out. He goes to this particular center. There are kids there. It's a legitimate business. They didn't open the door for him. They probably could tell that he was out there up to something. And the Somali people in Minnesota have been getting threats, so they're not comfortable with opening up their doors. But let's see how this plays out.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out.
Right. The windows would be blacked out because if you have children, you don't want weirdos being able to look into the window at children. You do have weirdos out here. Let me say this correct. You do have weirdos out here that like to prey on children. So you do have daycares that tend to not have their windows where people can look in. Why would you want someone looking in at your kids at your daycare who are not the parents, not the family members, but they're plain weirdos like this guy, Nick Shirley?
Let's see if anybody is here. This door is locked.
This facility is licensed for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever.
He's a lie. There are kids here. I'm going to show you a video that's going to bust what they're saying right here. First of all, when you have a child care facility, you don't want anybody being able just to walk in the door because the safety of the kids are the utmost. This man that's with him claims that he comes here all the time, that there's supposed to be 40 kids being serviced, that he's never seeing any kids being serviced. And I got a video coming up next to shut down everything that they just said that shows you that his research and their intent is fraudulent. Him and this idiot right here wearing the Quality Learning Center. And they said that this place right here in Minnesota was not real, when in fact it is real. And I have a video to prove that out as well. But these two guys are clowns and the truth is not in them. Let's go ahead.
The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars.
Now, check this out. They don't really have any proof. Take myself off of there. There's really no proof how much the government is really giving. The only people would know that are the federal government, right? They would know exactly how much money these places are making. But he sat up there on that snowy day and says that there's absolutely nothing going on. This guy, Nick Shirley, is a clown. I'm going to say it again. He's a complete clown because he didn't do proper research, because that first building that he tried to open up the door, they are legitimate. They did not open up the door because they have fear of people coming in messing with them. I'm going to show you a video of this clown right here and that other clown getting kicked out of a Somali business. They kicked them out because they went into a business inappropriately, harassing the people and getting kicked out. They're not the police. And even the police, I even got a video where the police, it's off of his video, where the police kicked them out because they are on private property. Again, let me play this back. This man is lying, talking about, oh, there's 40 kids here and I never see them. When this clown right there next to him, Nick Shirley, doesn't know what he's talking about. Check this out again.
This facility is licensed for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever. The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars. I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door. Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Why? Can I speak to a manager?
So you can hear them saying, why and who are you? This is the deal. They were on to Nick Shirley and this other idiot Okay, that's why those doors weren't open. Now they're going to tell you it's because they're running a fraudulent business. I'm going to say again, if you're under threat because of Donald Trump saying nasty things about the Somali community, and I just played you that clip, why would you want to trust anybody to open a door when you've got kids in there? And even if you don't have the kids in there, you're not going to open a door. So they're asking him why. I suspect that these daycare centers particularly serve the Somali community. And the Somali community in Minnesota probably is a niche community, a very close, tight-knit community who knows who their people are. And they probably know that white people, I'm just saying, in this case with Nick Shirley, are not taking their kids to those daycares, that those daycares are mainly serving a Somali community. And that's probably why they didn't open the doors, because they've been under scrutiny and they know that these guys are there for some interior motives. That's my personal reason why I think they're not opening up the doors. Let's get back.
Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare. And after a few questions, the lady went silent. Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here.
No, because you don't have a son or a little Shirley. This is all performative because you want to get all the views and get all the, and he did exactly what he wanted. He blew his channel up. I think he got on this video, he got about around, what was it, 2.5 million views on the video. So this fool got exactly what he intended to get, which was the attention that he desires, because he wants to become a mover and shaker. Now, there's tons of videos on Twitter and on social media where you've got this guy all over the place stirring up the pot. He's in New York. He's involved in the protests that were going on, and he's trying to cause and stir up a pot. This is what they do. No different than what Charlie Kirk was doing and all the rest of these mega idiots, that they try to stir up the pot and create viral moments. This is all Shirley is trying to do, is create viral moments for himself. And then you have Donald Trump saying the things that he said right here, just to give you a reminder.
I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at, I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of.
He says for billions of dollars, but there's been no data to prove that it's been $1 billion that I've seen. I mean, a complete $1 billion, but let me move on, because that particular daycare that this idiot Shirley I'm going to show you a video, everybody, that shuts everything down. Nick Shirley has it all wrong. And I'm going to show you that video right now. Here we go. This is the video that's going to surprise you. Check this out right here.
ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis.
They have to learn ABC and numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center.
In a now viral video, right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley claims nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public funds but not providing a service. He says ABC Learning Center is one of them, knocking on the door in mid-December.
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Hassan says his employee didn't respond because Shirley was in a group of about 8 people, and his staff were concerned about recent ICE activity.
Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. They know that ICE is out there, but they're also knowing that they are a target because of what Donald Trump said about the Somali community. They are acting out of fear, and that's probably why some of these doors were not open for this fool, Nick Shirley. Let's get back.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center, which is licensed with the state.
Now, Shirley tried to say that this was not a legitimate business because they wouldn't let him in. This is why I say he's a clown, okay? They are legitimate, but what he did is now he caused more problems for this daycare program because the owner that you're going to see talk here in just a moment has gotten really bad. He's had people sending him messages saying very negative, threatening things. This is all because of these right-wing operatives like this Nick Shirley, who knocks on the door of this business and he wants to deem it as not legitimate. And then the other idiot had said that he never seen any kids there. So somebody's lying. Somebody's telling the truth. Right here, this idiot said he never saw any kids there right here.
The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there.
This facility is licensed for 40 children, 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here ever.
He's a damn lie, and the truth's not in him, ladies and gentlemen, because he said that he comes there 100 times. Why do you keep coming to the daycare center 100 times if you don't have any kids to enroll? I wonder. You're looking for something, right? He's gone there 100 times and never seen any kids, but yet we've got this news report that I'm playing for you right here, where they do have kids there and they are licensed.
Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
What did I do? I'm just a typical human being who wants to live and do the right thing. I have kids to feed.
Umi Hassan, the daycare's current owner, believes these latest fraud accusations are political. Both she and Hassan are Somali Americans.
We pay our taxes. We do whatever we can to be a law-abiding citizen. At the same time, when one Somali does something wrong, we all get collective punishment.
With Shirley's video now approaching 2.3 million views on YouTube alone, they say they are getting nonstop phone calls harassing them.
I was looking for a place for my granddaughter.
With many of those calls attached to out-of-state phone numbers.
They normally say, knock, knock, we're going to come. You're going to arrest, something like that.
You hear that? They're getting threats. They're being threatened because this idiot, Nick Shirley, has caused this problem. This clown right here has caused this mega hat wearing, Make America White Again clown here has caused these problems. And they said in the report that they had a couple of minor things that the state had to have them fixed, but nothing major. They have kids, maybe a small number of kids, but they have a legitimate business and they are licensed by the state. He got up there and said that they were fraudulent. And the other idiot with him sat up there and said that he's come by there 100 times but never seen any kids. This is the height of hypocrisy and lies. This is nothing but lies, y'all. Let me get back to this report right here. Check it out.
Hassan says they turned over attendance records to comply with the Department of Homeland Security request. They're now waiting to hear back. CBS News is reviewing records related to the same daycares. All but 2 have active licenses. And Aaron, while the active places have violations related to safety or staff training, there's no recorded.
Now, basically what he's saying is there's no recorded evidence of any wrongdoing with the daycare programs in Minnesota that are run by some of the Somalis. But I'm going to make sure I make this very clear to everyone. With other further reporting, I'm going to play another video for you. It's coming out in the wash that some of these daycares are not operating anymore. So in some cases, when he was knocking on doors, looking through windows, there weren't kids and there weren't anybody there because those were daycares that had already been shut down prior. Nick Shirley is a piece of garbage. Look at what he did right here, knocking on the door of this Somali citizen's business, trying to stir up the pot, as that's what his whole background is. He's a provocateur. He goes around not only America, but he goes around the world, stirring up the pot, even in other countries, and I'm going to show you that as well. So check this out.
We're wondering, because we hear there's lots of fraud taking place here in Minnesota, and we're wondering, why is there so many of the same companies inside of this same building?
No, I don't know that.
What do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't have any idea about that fraud. Okay, that's it.
What do you think about the news articles and what's being spread on the news about the fraud?
Right now, you are doing something wrong.
I'm just asking you.
No, you
about
don't
the
have
fraud.
to ask me. Okay, don't ask me that question again.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what he does, harassing people, getting up in people's business. And he has no right. He's not the police. He's not even a legitimate media person, but he's independent media. But he's a bad independent media personality because this is all for clicks. This is all for views. This is all to blow up. And he got what he wanted because he got a video that went got a million views or more. And he's probably got a bunch of new subscribers. So he got exactly what he intended to do, which is to bring attention to himself. Check out this report from CNN when he was confronted at this particular daycare. I think it's called Quality Learning Center, where he tried to say it wasn't legitimate. And then I've got a video to show you that actually it is legitimate. Check this out.
Talk to you. This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley. Back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue, but no, fraud is fraud. And so I'm not out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video, released over the weekend, in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a
There
daycare.
should be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then why can't they actually give me information how to enroll a child?
Federal law enforcement has been investigating fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media they've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud investigation.
Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80.
Now, this guy is a clown again. Nick Shirley is a clown. You heard people say, why would you have a daycare center where you can allow people just to walk right on in? Check this out. What if these people did not have their doors locked and have things secured and people could just walk in and do things to kids? Then you would have people like Nick Shirley in his mega right saying, hey, they're letting the kids be, they're letting people walk in. They're letting anybody knock on the door and walk right on in. They could grab the kids. You would hear that on the other side, right, of this argument. Let's continue.
Indictments, the cases have been going on, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children, they're receiving millions of dollars. We uncovered
He's a lie and the truth's not in him. I just showed you the video of the other place he went to. I think it's ABC Daycare, where he knocked on the door. They would not let him in, but come to find out it's a legitimate licensed daycare facility. So Nick Shirley has no credibility, and he shouldn't get the people that watched his video, these videos of him and subscribe to his channel. Shame on y'all, because this guy's not legitimate.
$110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
No, he didn't show us anything. He showed us him knocking on doors. But now when he makes this statement about how much fraud, he doesn't know the numbers. He doesn't have the stats. He's just there to stir up the pot. That's what he's all about.
So we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside?
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
Dude is a
You know,
clown.
we have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the commissioner of children literally said a week ago this place was closed.
Did you know
They're
that?
showing.
This dude is an idiot. It always was a active daycare. This Nick Shirley is a joke, and I'm going to show you in a moment.
Face right now.
The Quality Learning Center.
Disputed claims and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Whitney, you mentioned in your story that there were dozens of convictions going back to 2022. Can you explain what those convictions established?
Now, those convictions are those Somali members of the Somali community that did get arrested, did get investigated. I think it was 50 or more of them. Those people should stand trial for their crimes, but it does not mean you should demonize the whole complete community. Nick Shirley is a lie. That particular place was called, what is it, Quality? Here he is with the other idiot who claimed that he knew that there was no kids at the ABC daycare center, that he had been there hundreds of times. Come to find out, a legitimate daycare center it is. This place, Quality Learning Center, I believe it's called, they harassed the people there saying that that wasn't a legitimate business. Well, here go a real independent reporter on the ground that gives her breakdown along with her partner and about this particular facility. Here it is right here.
Guys, it's Ivory Hacker,
AK Kamara.
2 independent journalists out here at the Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis. You guys asked us to come out and check out what is actually happening with daycare centers in Minnesota. Is taxpayer funding being wasted? So, Quality Learning Center, they first of all just fixed their name there. We've got a lot of corporate media here with us, which I'm thrilled
Quality
to see,
Center.
but they're not ignoring what was shown by independent media. Now, did the first independent media get the story right is the question. So allegedly the hours here start at 2 p.m. It's 2:30 right now, and we have been seeing kids trickling into Quality Learning Center.
Yeah.
See?
Some people may think, well, that's just staged now because the media's on it. We just talked to...
Right, but this clown right here, Nick Shirley, says that it wasn't operating. There were no kids. Him and this other idiot right here participated in this type of nonsense. This idiot right here. And Nick Shirley is a complete fraud himself. Okay? He's the one that's the fraud. This guy is a complete fraud. And truth's not in him at all. I want people to understand that this is fundamentally the way they manipulate and play the games that they play. Let's get back to this right here, shall we? I want to get back to this.
To child care coordinator, as well as the landlady who owns this building. I'm feeling like it's a real daycare center. What do you think?
I think it's a real daycare center. The thing that I am still very curious about is it something that they've kind of been operating, maybe not everything above board, only because there's other reports of other people that have said they don't see a whole lot of activity all the time, but it's always possible. And this is why it's important to do more than just one hit,
right?
To actually be able to gather as much information as possible, because it's possible that they do have lower operating numbers.
They do. It came out that the Quality Learning Center, or the Quality Center, I think they changed their name, has a lower number of kids enrolled. And that can happen sometime because daycare is expensive and sometimes not everybody can afford daycare, right? These are things that happen. Let me continue this.
And one of the consultants claims that unless she were to see the numbers, she actually doesn't believe that the state of Minnesota has given over $9 million in CCAP funding.
And this is important because this is the argument that people like Nick Shirley and the MAGA right are making, that these places have gotten so much funding, but they're saying there has been no legitimate documentation to prove out how much these different daycares are actually making in the state. The CPAC, I think he said the CPAC. Let me go back a little bit to what he was saying right about right here. Here we go.
I believe that the state of Minnesota has given over $9 million in CCAP funding to this
CCAP
daycare
funding.
center. So,
okay, CCAP funding. There's been no proof of that. Let's continue.
and that's one of their consultants.
This coordinator right here, we just interviewed her, and we'll put that on YouTube later today for the full investigation we've done today. But she did say they do not have a full capacity of children here,
Okay.
but that's normal, she said. When I asked her whether the state has been double checking on whether they're legit this week, she said no comment. She's also not saying how much state money or federal money they are receiving. Now, we are also checking on other fraud cases here in Minnesota today that I think you guys will find quite interesting. And that'll be up on my YouTube, Ivory Hecker on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Quite interesting.
Okay, there it is. Let me show you another situation with this idiot, this clown, Nick Shirley, getting kicked out with this other clown right here, getting kicked out when going into another Somali business. I think either it's a daycare or some business. And they literally had to kick these idiots out because they were disrupting the business. And this is what he does. They are there to disrupt, to create a problem.
Get the fuck out of here.
See? Get the F out of here.
We don't care. We don't know where it is. Get out.
Get these clowns out of here. These clowns right here.
He's recording. Get out of here.
This is political reaction, y'all. Now, what you're seeing is footage, live raw footage of Nick Shirley and this other clown that was with him harassing people in the community, particularly the Somali community, trying to stick his nose in their business. And they told him to get the out, get out. Okay?
They're recording. I didn't give you permission to record me.
What kind of why you come here? Why you have permission?
That's that idiot right there next to him.
Get out of here. Out. You have to stop the camera.
This is a lie.
Remember, if you got a business and someone comes into your business and they're not acting right, you have a right to make them leave your business. And especially if you have a private business from private grounds, you have a right to make them leave.
Who do you work for? Who do you work for? No, who do you work for? I don't care about this guy. Who do you work for? Nick Shirley. I don't care about Nick Shirley. That's who he's working for today. Nick Shirley.
Stop here. All business stop here.
Get out of here. Yes.
Would you like to give a statement, sir? And see, you guys say I can't film, but look at you guys filming. You can do that. You can film here.
From the statement that's on the website, advanced mobility.
This
address is using cars. You don't care about the state of Minnesota or what?
Where's advanced mobility at? That's all we're asking.
Anyone? This doesn't even exist. Advanced mobility? Doesn't exist.
White business. Why not just white?
These two clowns right here.
I don't have to go anywhere. Did you grow up here? Did you grow up here? Why do you care? I was born in Minneapolis. You're telling.
So now he's claiming he's doing the typical thing where you're born here. Basically, hey, I have a right to be here because I was born here. You guys, this is all, in my opinion, there's some racism in this. There's some harassment in this because they had no business going into these people's business and stirring up the pot in the way they did. You just don't have any business doing this. This is not the way to go.
I mean, go to the white place. I grew up here.
Okay, you grew up there.
White business. Are you a racist?
All right. It's crazy. Nick Shirley is not a legitimate guy. Now, let me play the video, and I want to apologize. I had a video where, and I assure you this happened. This is on Nick Shirley's video, the one that went viral, where he went into a corridor where you had Somali businesses that he claimed were not legitimate because nobody was there. And eventually they called the police because he was harassing these people. And the police showed up, the Minnesota police showed up and told them they had to leave because they were on private grounds and that they were disturbing the peace and they were harassing the people. And under the law in that state, they told them that they could remove, Nick Shirley was told that him and his goofy partner could be removed from the ground. So they ended up getting kicked out and leaving in shame. That is me paraphrasing what it is. I wish I had the video right now. I forgot to load it up in my system, but let me show you the interview that he had. I think this was in Europe. This guy, I think, is from the UK. He has like kind of an English accent, who really grills him because this fool, Nick Shirley, let me remind you, this fool, Nick Shirley, the clown, went to Ukraine and tried to make statements that there was no real war happening in the Ukraine. He's got to be an idiot if he thinks that that's not true. He tried to put out misinformation. He's a provocateur, a shit disturber, trying to mix up the pot to cause problems. And he lied about what was happening in the Ukraine when it is a war happening over there. And this guy that he interviewed him had to jam him up. And he also jammed him up about his understanding of the location that he was in when he was over there. The location, he didn't have his geography together properly, as I want to say. And let's get to the video right now. I think you'll get a treat out of this one.
Caption you put up, $175 billion goes a long way. This is the capital of Ukraine. You're giving me all this great context. Where's the context in that tweet?
Yeah, if you go look at all the other tweets I put out, there's a lot of context as well.
Oh, so that's backtracking because you had a massive amount of backlash from Ukrainians, rightfully. But why didn't you put that in the original tweet?
Because that wasn't the idea of the original tweet.
Do you understand why people in this country are pretty pissed off with you?
One post does not define everything I did while I was in Ukraine.
No, it does, because it speaks to your character. This is a guy that stirs up the pot. So when you see what he's doing in America and people are going all crazy over his viral video, they are going crazy over a viral video that was produced and put together by a fraudulent individual. That's Nick Shirley. And this guy is jamming him up.
Well, I think what you were doing is to try and show that there maybe isn't a war in Ukraine. You were basically trying to ride this sort of Tim Pool grifter type wave.
Yeah, he's a grifter.
Pulling silly faces, smirking at the people of this country, saying, this is where your tax dollars are going. You cannot avoid that. That is literally what you did. Everybody agrees. Everybody in the comments agrees. That's what you were doing. Why can't you admit that?
Because I do not believe by making satire on the internet commits a crime by any means.
So now he's calling it satire when in fact he was trying to say it was independent reporting while he was in the Ukraine, making the claims that it was not a real war because he went to a place in the Ukraine where people were still trying to live their life, go to the store and shop, go to a bar, but there was still a war going on. He was just in a particular part of the Ukraine that was not under the gun of missiles and weapons and all that sort of stuff. But there was a war, and we know there is a war happening. But he cherry picked what he wants to cherry pick to present a certain narrative. This guy jams him up, and now all of a sudden he wants to say, oh, but it was satire. Bullshit.
Okay, so going back. This is a huge revelation. So you were actually doing satire
in that post.
So it was satire.
Is there anything wrong with satire?
I know exactly what you were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You failed in doing it because you've received more backlash and more hate than support, and I guess now you're backpedaling.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you are. He's a clown, y'all. This dude is a clown right there.
I went to, isn't Bucha East Ukraine? Or I went somewhere where
He
there
doesn't
was. Was Bucha?
He doesn't know.
So Bucha is a 20-minute drive north of Kyiv. Where did you go in East Ukraine?
That's where I went. I went to Bucha. Is that not east of Ukraine?
He doesn't have his geography.
It
Look,
makes me despair.
you could tell this guy right here is like, this guy is stupid. He's in another country. He doesn't know his geography. This idiot right here, Nick Shirley, doesn't have his geography correct. All he does, he's a provocateur. He wants to create issues because all he's concerned about is what? Exactly what you see right there. He's holding his phone in his hand, how many subscribers he has, how many views he can get. Can he get a viral moment? He goes to another country, makes up lies about the war over there in the Ukraine. And this guy is like, oh my God, he doesn't even have his geography correct.
That you've come here, you don't even know the difference between East Ukraine and somewhere that's a 20-minute drive north of Kyiv. And you put out content that's genuinely extremely damaging.
He don't know the difference between his shoes and his head and his foot. The guy jammed him up. The guy set him straight. But check this out. Let me give you some more commentary from this young man right here. Once again, exposing Nick Shirley as the fraud that he is.
Ukraine seem to be through the roof at the moment. We had the Tenet media scandal exposed only 10 days ago that showed tens of millions of dollars funneled into making Russian disinformation pumped into Americans' news feeds. And now there's a new kid on the block, Nick Shirley. This is a kid that arrived in Kyiv a couple of months ago and decided to start showing the world that apparently there's no war going on in this country, that because there's some fast cars on the streets and because there are some places people try to continue living their lives as normal, that means there isn't a war going on. Well, Nick actually did know that there was a war going on. And I know that because today I spoke to both of his fixers. Both of his fixers offered to take him to Kharkiv, but he declined. He told his fixers that it would be too scary for him to go there. And that's strange. Because
too scary for him to go there because why? There's a real war happening in the Ukraine. That's why he didn't want to go there. But then he turns around, lies and says he was doing satire when in fact he was trying to put out the notion, as his right-wing peanut brain is, his mega peanut brain, that there was no war, and he got caught in his own BS and lies.
Because Nick wants us to think that there isn't a war going on here. They also took him to some incredibly damaged places north of Kyiv, hospitals that were bombed, trenches that were dug, buildings that were destroyed. And none of it was shown in any of his reporting. Instead, Nick decided to come here and only show a very nice area of the city and then say there wasn't a war going on. And there are two reasons this could have happened.
Right.
One, he was directly paid by the Russians to make this propaganda, and that isn't something that's too controversial to believe.
Woo! Basically, Nick Shirley is a fraud. So therefore, giving you some history, could there be people in Minnesota, in the Somali community, that are running a con game? Yes. I certainly know that there are probably people out there that are not legitimate and they're running games, but there are definitely people who have legitimate businesses and they're running it properly, but they're getting caught up in this swallow. They're swallowing all these people up and putting them all in the same bag because you have this idiot in the White House called Donald Trump, who's a racist, who says these things about these people.
Dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%.
He demonizes the Somali people, and someone like Nick Shirley can come in and can capitalize on this situation that's happening in Minnesota. But you can't really look at him as a true, what I would call truth teller, a truth-telling reporter. He's not an honest broker because not only did he do what he did here in the country, in Minnesota, but he's been doing it for a while, going all around the country, saying things, making up things because he's on the mega right. But then he takes his poison to other countries around the world and makes up lies and spins narratives and has been called out on it. That's why you can't listen to anything that these idiots say. So everybody, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you subscribe, hit the bell notification, share this video on all your social media. Tell people about the channel, Political Reacts, new political channel, where we're going to get into all kind of issues, look at things from the deep surface. And thank you for being here. We do have a poison in the White House. This man right here, this sick individual, Donald Trump, is sick. His White House is sick, and all the things that are happening in his White House, Nick Shirley falls right in line with all the other idiots in the MAGA movement. With that said, you take care, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with more Political Reacts. Take care.